Hi everybody, Corey here. So you are tuning in for part 2 of our Zoom bookshelf scavenger hunt. If you haven't seen part 1 yet, I'll link to it in the description down below, so you can go watch that before you watch this one. We just had so much fun doing this video that it took way longer than we thought it was going to, so we had to break it down into two parts, but please enjoy. Okay, a book of which you have more than one copy.
The most interesting ones I went with, which is weird because I can't actually show the two books side by side because I lent two of them out. My friend's a teacher and she's using them in Zoom calls to read to her students because she teaches elementary school. But I have multiple copies of Arlo Finch. So Arlo Finch in the Valley of Fire, which I lent to my friend. I also have it in German, which I can't read, but it's beautiful. And the editions are illustrated, so they have like really beautiful illustrations inside. Cool. So I have In the Valley of Fire in hardcover in German, and the Moon one, The Lake of the Moon, I have in two. I have the third one, which I will also get in German just because they're so pretty, and I also want to get them in Swedish because the covers are very Stranger Things. They kind of look like an upside down mirror. Yeah. So they're on my bucket list of things to buy when I have money to burn.
Cool. Okay, so the one that's... I have two to show off. The first one is Mistborn, and I actually thought I had more copies of Mistborn.
I'm shocked. And
I have 5 copies of Mistborn.
God Lord.
And then the other one, as you can probably guess, because I've already showed off 2 of them, I have 9 copies of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone.
Oh, wow.
Copies of Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone.
No wonder you have so many bookshelves.
Yeah.
There's books. I have 16 bookshelves in my house.
Wow.
I just realized with the cover that we got in New York that one time, I guess my biggest number comes in at 4 Philosopher's Stones.
Yeah.
On the 3 sets I have, and then the extra.
Yeah, true. Yeah. So yeah, I own many editions of many books.
Is Mistborn the most copies you own of one book by Sanderson? Or
I believe so. But don't quote me.
knew you'd bring in a Sanderson.
I think it was two years ago now. I made a stack of only Brandon Sanderson books, and at that point, it was taller than me. Number has not gone down. So
does he have his own bookshelf?
Yeah,
not shelf, but like bookcase.
Yeah, totally.
That's amazing.
All right, Faye, what about you?
So I don't have all the copies, because 2 or 3 of them are at my parents' house in Toronto. But Silverwing is
so nice.
It's probably the book. And it's like the same, it's not even different editions. I just have the same copies of them, like 4 different times. And it's because for some reason, this is like the book that I always like when I move somewhere, I go somewhere, I'm like, oh, I want to read Silverwing again. I really like these books. And so I'd find a copy and I'd read them and I'd bring it back home. I should probably just give them away now. But yeah, I really love this trilogy. Read it as a kid and it has still stuck with me. And yeah, I own far too many copies of Silverwing.
Those are like the one of the very few Kenneth Ogle books I haven't read.
Oh, they're so good. So good. It just like blew my mind as a kid, and even as an adult when I'm reading it, it blows my mind. It's so good.
Awesome. Yeah. What about you, Shanley?
Okay, so yeah, similar with Vivek. The ones I have the most of are Anne of Green Gables by Ella Montgomery. I have several copies. I love to go to secondhand places and see what covers they have and just buy them purely for the cover at this point. And I have like at least 5 or 6 different covers of Anne of Green Gables from various places around everywhere. The thing is, I don't have any of them here with me, but I do have this little ornament of Anne that I got for my birthday recently.
Oh, cute.
So I'll say Green Gables and hold this guy up.
Have you ever been to Green Gables?
Over there, Anne. What was that?
Have you ever been to Green Gables?
No, it's a pilgrimage I will take one of
It's
these days.
delightful.
I do really want to go to Prince Edward Island, but
You can add so many more unique copies to your collection.
oh god, so many. Yeah, no, and like they're just purely for aesthetic beauty at this point. Like, just is that a cool, interesting cover? Oh, look, it's from the '70s. Cool, mine now. Like
Yeah.
that's how it is. And but I don't have any here because they're very fragile, and I didn't trust bringing them over when I first moved. So one day I'll have to do like a full like drive back with a bunch of the books I've left. But until then, I have a little Anne ornament.
That's so cute.
Does that count?
Green Gables does the same thing like Harry Potter World does, where there's like editions that are like specific to Green Gables.
Oh, neat.
That is dangerous knowledge.
Yeah.
Or at least they did when I was 12. So it's
I'm sure it's only got more elaborate sense.
oh, probably. All right, Sally, what about you?
I don't own multiples, but I do have of most books, but I've got Harry Potter and B. Schwab.
There you go. We've laughed you.
I think when I like first started OwlCrate, this was a Christmas present from Karina, and then there happened to be a hardcover floating around the office that I'm pretty sure is
nice.
A first run. So that's neat. Same cover, but at least paperback and hardback. And then neither of these are like my childhood copy, but I finally decided I needed to buy myself some, so I got started getting this series, and then we were given this at BookCon, and then at the office. I don't have them here, but I actually have the whole set of
You, yeah.
And that one's signed by Brian Selznick.
That's
Oh.
Yeah. We are all, he signed our books for us.
Yeah.
oh, and there's pictures of Robert and I in there as well.
That's awesome.
I just cannot read any edition of Harry Potter. That's really cool. Any edition of Harry Potter other than the original, like the one that I grew up with. Someone like gave me, because I've been wanting to reread Harry Potter, and someone gave me like the latest edition with a different cover, and I was like, I can't read this. Like, this isn't Harry Potter.
Ew, gross.
The fact that this is Sorcerer's Stone, it throws me back. It's
Right.
Philosopher's Stone. Come on.
Oh, totally. I'm listening to the audiobooks right now, and it's Jim Dale, and every time he like changes a word to an American word, I'm like, how dare you? How dare
I'm with you, Abe. I have like the first time I just kept hearing about Harry Potter and like reading like Entertainment Weekly and how it's this big thing, and I'm like, who is this person? So like the first copy I ever read, I was babysitting, and I was like, what is this? Can I read this? And then I just devoured them. And finally I bought like a box set of like the first 4 paperbacks, and those are the only ones that I can read. Like I have the beautiful like hardcover illustrated ones. I have the beautiful set that Kazu Kibuishi did the covers for. But I'm like, I can't read those. I need to read mine. The one that was like mine. That has like buttery popcorn fingerprints on some pages. And like,
Yeah, totally.
they have been read 7 times.
Cool. All right. Next up, a print edition, a book that's a print edition of a dictionary or thesaurus or a volume from an encyclopedia set. All right.
Okay. So
Show us your words.
I do not have a thesaurus, a dictionary, or any form of encyclopedia. So I went with a present from Corey. Oh, this is the present that we couldn't think of that you got me the other year. Anyways, unrelated. That's Marvel Studios, the first 10 films. The first 10 years, sorry. And it's basically the first 10 years of Marvel and I feel it's filled with encyclopedic knowledge. There's like a list of Easter eggs, a breakdown of each film, actor interviews, and like behind the scenes stuff. So I think if I needed to write a paper on Marvel movies, I would consult the encyclopedia.
That just gave me an idea. I'm going to be right back.
Okay, so mine, now this is what I asked for Christmas when I was in grade 12.
Oh, God.
So I've never been a nerd. But that
Oh my god.
is the new encyclopedic dictionary. I didn't ask for the Webster's one, but beggars can't be choosers. It is
Hefty.
a really big dictionary. We had one of these, we had like the fancy like gilded one growing up,
Yeah.
that we used for like Scrabble all the time and stuff. So I think there was just like a nostalgic part of me that just wanted one of these. Have I ever used it? No.
Okay. That
Does
answers
it-
my question then.
All it does literally is it holds up my computer.
That's cool. I
I will
that made
never
me
do
think of a movie, and I forget what movie or TV show it was, where a character, she highlights every word she ever looks up. And like
Oh,
when
fun.
you flip through it, it's like all yellow. And I was gonna ask you if you did anything like that, but you said you don't use it, so.
No. But I'm proud of myself for wanting it for Christmas.
I'm so impressed that you've like moved around with that.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've moved around with a lot of things. So.
Still though.
All right, Faye, what about you?
Yeah, so all my dictionary sources are back at home. I don't even have my Scrabble dictionary, which is my most prized possession. But Crystal's phone book kind of gave me an idea. I have it's a collection of philosophy ideas.
Oh, I love that series.
Yeah, I really love the DK series. Like I flip through like all of them. They have like ones about like sociology, politics, feminism, like everything you can think of. And like every page is like a different like person or philosopher.
Nice.
And they're like awesome. They're well designed, really good. I used to like read a page like every day when I'm like having my breakfast. So yeah, that's kind of like the closest to like an encyclopedia that I could find.
A reference book.
Yeah.
All right, Shammy.
So I got dictionary source. None of that. None of
That's
that.
what Google's for.
Yeah, no, totally.
I was in French immersion, from K to 12. So like I have a ton of French English dictionaries from over the years, and like Becherels out of the yin yang, but again, not here.
That's fine.
But I do have this, which like following like what Crystal says, like I think it does have like encyclopedic knowledge, which is
Oh, I love that book.
Yeah, so it's just a book of fairies by Brian Froud, who's best well known for being like the conceptual designer for the Jim Henson stuff, like The Dark Crystal and Labyrinth, and illustrated by Alan Lee, who's really known for doing illustrations for the Lord of the Rings series. Like I think like Centennial or something like that. It was like a big deal one he illustrated. He also did a lot of the concept art for the Lord of the Rings movies. Anyway, I found this at a secondhand store in Vancouver called Paperhound Books. Support if you can.
Sure.
And it's one of the greatest purchases I've ever done in my life. Because again, fairy tales, fairy things are all my things. And like it goes into incredible details about various different forms of fairy things. So this is about fairy islands here. I'm just gonna cover my face. There's like, again, and like the illustrations throughout are otherworldly. And it's just, yeah, it's just sort of like, and I'll see if I can find one that I actually know. Because, yeah, this is another thing. Like, I know a ton of fairy things from just being a weirdo my whole life. But, and things like how to protect yourself from fairies, so iron bells, things like that. And it's just, yeah, it's presented as like a real encyclopedic guide for how to deal with fairies, the fae. So, does that count? I don't know. But it's gorgeous, and it's one of my favorite books I've ever bought, so there you go. Now I just got to show it off.
All right, Sally.
I have the a dictionary of literary terms, which I have like thought for the last I don't know how long number of moves that I've had that I got this from my grandpa. I definitely stole it from my high school. Clearly marked Point Grey Secondary right there. And I know that I did steal it because these two people were 2 years and 1 year ahead of me. So then it came to me, and it never went back.
She's a thief.
You're not hardcore until you live hardcore.
And then a couple years ago, I also bought myself the illustrated version of The Elements of Style by Strunk and White, illustrated by Coleman, and it's so fun. And it's one of the nerdier purchases that I've ever made. But it's just like a beautiful illustrated encyclopedic style guide.
Love it.
Nice.
All right, moving on. A print edition of a book that you also own as an ebook or an audiobook. All right, Crystal, which one?
Oh, okay. This is for, sorry, I was grabbing a book for another challenge, but this is the physical, audio, and ebook. And for that, this was also a tie for like most copies of a book. So I have Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda in 2 hardcovers, but the audiobook was my first Audible purchase, and I listened to it all the time. I think I've listened to it more than I've read the physical book. And I also have the ebook because I didn't want to ruin my my nice hardcover, so I also have it digitally, which was a Kobo purchase. So
Cool.
Cool.
I just picked this one because it's sort of the last audiobook that I purchased, and that is Time Salvager by Wesley Chu, which is an adult sci-fi time travel book. Go figure. Not my favorite book ever, but it is the last audiobook I purchased and own the book. So
Cool.
Okay.
Mine is I own both the audiobook and the ebook and the physical book. But it is we were 8 years in power by Ta-Nehisi Coates. It's a nonfiction book. And yeah, I got it as an ebook, really liked it, then also got it as an audiobook and loved the audiobook. The Coates actually reads each of his essays in the book, and then I was like, I like need this book in my life, because I was like, while I was listening to it, I was like, I just want to like highlight all the things and like make notes and stuff. So I also bought the book.
Cool.
So yeah.
Nice.
Awesome. Shannon?
For me, I've got the normal version of Coraline, an actual like CD.
Wow.
Audio
Relic.
Wow.
But like, to be honest, like I've listened to almost every single Neil Gaiman book available read by him, and I also own almost everything he's ever written. So like Neil Gaiman, but this is the only one where I actually have like the physical like CD
so cool.
audiobook of it. So Coraline, but also just like Neil Gaiman.
Yeah, totally. What about you, Sally?
I don't own any or audiobooks, so I'm out for this challenge.
That's fair. That's fair.
but you just got a Kobo, so you're well on your way.
That's right. I was planning on loading it up with ARCs. I'm not gonna. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I haven't even taken it out of the box yet. It literally arrived while we were filming this. So.
Oh,
cool.
All right. We're on to the penultimate question.
Okay.
Find 5 New York Times bestsellers. All right, Crystal, show off your picks.
All right, so a staple. I have The Fault in Our Stars by John Green, #1 New York Times bestseller, right on the cover. I looked this up because I assumed it was, and that is The Rise of the Fall of the Dinosaurs by Steve Rustate. A book I haven't read, but it's on my to-do list.
Cool.
I have The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue,
Hey.
which I was looking up some books to buy on Indigo this morning, and it said New York Times bestselling.
Yeah.
Whatever. And then I know that Jasper Fforde has been on the New York Times bestseller list. This was the one listed when I gave a quick Google, but I would not be surprised if his most recent book, Early Riser, was bestseller as well. And then this is an assumption based on author, although I'm pretty sure this title would have been on the bestseller list. And that is Death Comes to Pemberley by P.D. James. P.D. James is definitely a New York Times bestselling author. If she's not, I don't know anything. But this was actually a really great book, and one of the first ebooks I ever owned when I got my Kobo.
There you go.
So
Cool.
that's that.
Mine are, I just like grabbed and ran. So mine are by 3 different people, but I do have 5 different books. I have Special Topics in Calamity Physics.
Oh.
New York Times bestseller.
That one.
I have Horns and the Fireman by Joe Hill, both New York bestsellers. And I have Gone Girl in Dark Places.
Oh, of
Both New
course.
York Times bestsellers.
Of course.
Definitely not gonna be able to hold this pack of books.
Yeah, it is.
All right, May.
Okay, so I have Lincoln in the Bardo by George Saunders. I looked it up. It was on the bestseller list. I have Hark the Vagrant by Kate Beaton.
Yes,
It was
Work of Vagrant.
yeah, it was on it was on the list for 6 months, which is pretty
Awesome.
impressive. Yeah. Whoops. Okay, and I have 2 Tim Ferriss, hefty Tim Ferriss books. The 4-Hour Chef and the 4-Hour Body. Ugh. Me and my housemates are all like Tim Ferriss junkies. That stuff. And Nevermore, I believe should be
Pretty sure.
Yeah. Bestseller. Yeah.
Cool.
Sorry about that. I had to plug in my laptop. It was gonna die.
Okay, mine, I don't know if all of these are actually New York Times bestsellers, but the authors at least are, so counts. Rapid Fire, Type by Holly Black. Laura Dean Keeps Breaking Up With Me by Baruniko Tamaki and Rosemary Valerio O'Connell. To All the Boys I've Loved Before, Jenny Han. This one is actually a New York Times bestseller.
Yes.
The Book of Lost
currently.
by John Connolly.
Nice.
And of course, Carry On. I almost dropped it. Carry On.
I think you're right on all this.
I'm not sure about Type because it was before she was here.
Oh, yeah, you might be right.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I also have a Kate Beaton book,
Oh yeah.
which I'm pretty sure that this one was. I can't remember which one came out first, but yay, Kate Beaton. I love her so much. My stacks are so big, I have to like find other places.
No, I've got about 4 going on right now.
Yeah.
This one doesn't specifically say New York Times, but it does say national bestseller and Pulitzer Prize winning author. So The Yiddish Policeman's Union by Michael Chabon. A Heartbreaking Work, A Staggering Genius by Dave Eggers, also Pulitzer Prize and national bestseller. So I'm going to assume New York Times. 5th Season by N.K. Jemisin. Still haven't read. Hugo Award, major award winner, again, will assume. And finally, this one actually does say New York Times bestseller, Homegoing. I'm afraid I don't know how to say her name.
It's Yeah Jessie, I'm pretty sure.
Say it again.
I think it's Yeah Jessie.
Yeah, Jessie.
I'm pretty sure.
This one, it's actually my friend Erin's copy, and she lent it to me well over a year ago, and I still haven't read it. And it's like one of those like treat books that I'm like, I have to get through work reading first, and then like as soon as I can read an adult book again, it's gonna be this one. So it really will be this time. But there you go.
Awesome, we did it. Okay, final question. We did it.
Ooh.
A book by a local author.
So local author for me is a graphic novel artist, and that is Jason Copeland. He did a Kickstarter campaign for a graphic novel he did called Kill All Monsters. So it is written by him and illustrated by him, also written by Michael May, and Ed Brisson did the lettering, and Ed Brisson also lives in Vancouver, as does Jason Copeland. And Jason Copeland also did a chapter in Masks and Mobsters, which was really great. So going to a few comic things and just like knowing a few people, we've met Jason Copeland a couple times and have like a bunch of his work and stuff. He's a really cool artist. He also did a comic series with Ed Brisson called The Murder Book, which was really good, and I just dumped all of my comics on the floor looking for it, and I still can't find it, so it's somewhere.
Alas. Cool. Okay. Steven. He's literally like his head's just like.
Oh, there it goes.
Hello, world. I got The Griffin and Sabine by Nick Bantock. He's technically from an island close here, Salt Spring, but local enough. This trilogy is just delightful. Have you guys all read Griffin and Sabine?
Yes. So good.
So cool.
It's like, Shem, you would love it.
Yeah.
It's all written in like beautiful letters and postcards that you can like.
Yeah, it's like the Jolly Postman for grown-ups.
Yeah.
Oh, no. I've never heard of it. It's amazing.
It's beautiful. And it's just like so much fun. And yeah, he's from an island close to here, so counting it. Alright,
Yeah, I couldn't find any Vancouver-based authors for some reason, but I found this book, Cycling the Islands, and it's just a guide on cycling the oh god, what are they called? The Gulf Islands, like Victoria and Salt Spring and Galliano and all those. And he lives on one of those islands. I think he lives in Victoria. So close enough.
And Kenneth Opal's from here somewhere.
Really? Oh,
It's
I
that
thought he was.
on Salt Spring.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
What
Okay.
do you got, Shanley?
Okay, so I've got two because I just moved to Vancouver. Not just, but I wasn't born and raised here. But what I have is Anna Arrives, which is adapted by Callie George.
Aww.
She is a local author, and she actually was in my same master's program that I'm doing. She's graduated and actually successful. And yeah, she's doing sort of abridged versions of the Anne of Green Gables series for like perfect, I'd say, for like 8-year-olds, really. They're really, really beautiful, and it's just really nice, lovely introduction to Anne of Green Gables. So there's that by Kelly George. But also, because born and raised in Winnipeg, there's also the Thunder Road series by Chadwick Ginther, who is actually a friend of mine. I met him at the bookstore I used to work at. And this was published by a small pub in Winnipeg. And it's a fantastic series, actually. It's about this guy, Ted, and how he sort of gets embroiled in the drama of post-Ragnarok Norse gods and literally just gets pulled into it. And then it's just like this road trip novel, like through the prairies. And so it was a huge, actually, big deal when it came out, not only because he worked at the bookstore, but because it features many different parts of Manitoba that's like never really seen in anything, because who cares about Manitoba, am I right? But yeah, like he's a really good friend, he's a fantastic author, and I'm not gonna lie, yours truly makes a cameo appearance in one of the other sequels, so.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's so exciting. I also have two by local friends, which is so cool to say. The first one is So You're a Little Sad, So What? Nice Things to Say to Yourself on Bad Days, and Other Essays by my friend Alicia Tobin. This one just came out quite recently on Arsenal Pulp Press, which is a little indie press here. It's just like personal essays. They range from like stories about her dog, or like chronic pain, or stand-up comedy scene in Vancouver, but they're all just like very sweet, and Alicia is one of just like the funniest, most empathetic people I know. She's great. Love this one. And then the other one is the first in the Delilah Dirk series by Tony Cliff. I got to meet Tony when I was working at Kids Books, and I've got this very cool signed edition of it. But I will never forget meeting him, because he came in for like a special teacher's night where we were like selling them like the upcoming stuff so they could purchase for school libraries and stuff. And he was just like very humbly like, yeah, I wrote this cool graphic novel, and like I hope you like it, and kind of like wasn't comfortable selling it to himself. And I just piped up and I was like, and it has a really strong female character, and like all the teachers were like, oh, I'll take one. So every time I see Tony, like, I still owe you for that one. But, super fun sort of upper middle grade graphic novel series, very action packed.
Sally, didn't you also once mention a book that a friend of yours wrote here, like about Vancouver housing or something?
Charlie Demers, yeah.
Yeah.
He actually runs the imprint that
Oh,
put
cool.
the book out by Alicia. It's called...
It was like bright yellow or something. And I just remember
Yeah.
that.
It is called... He has one called Vancouver Special, but that's not the same one. Look up Charles Demers or Charlie Demers. It's by him. I'm completely... Property Values. It's called Property Values. Yeah. And it's like a satire on our terrible housing situation here in Vancouver.
All right, so we did it. That was 10 scavenger hunt questions down, prompts, and we succeeded for the most part, so go team. And now I'm going to throw it back to my in-studio self to finish up the video, but goodbye from all of us here for now.
Bye!
Bye!
Bye, guys. Hope you guys liked it. All right, so that is the end of part 2 of our Zoom bookshelf scavenger hunt. In case you couldn't tell, we had a lot of fun filming this. It was nice to be able to talk books with the girls again. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more. Happy reading, and thanks for being awesome. Bye.